people come in. Does everyone want to start with noting, just classic, in the chat, we can get a little chatter going about where people are tuning in from. I'm interested. I know I saw in the Calendly a lot of different types of phone numbers. So it's always great to have a little bit of a roundtable discussion about where people are from, see what kind of attendance we have today. Feel free to put in the chat here. Hi, Catherine in Berlin. Okay, not far at all. Central North Carolina. Oof. Hopefully it's a little bit, I don't know how hot it is there, but hopefully it's cooler than Germany in the morning there. Karlsruhe, Leipzig. Hi, Lorenzo. Nice to see you. Farhan. Okay, Tübingen. Hamburg. Rea. Hi, Olgu. And Hoff. Okay, we have a few more people joining. Hi, Hanan. Stuttgart. South Sudan. Yes, we just spoke. Impressive. The most southerly person to this point. Tunisia. Berlin, 36 degrees. Yes, it is. Oof. Looks like Niven is here. Hi, Niven. Marco in New York City. Let's go. Thanks for joining us this morning. Karlsruhe. Karlsruhe again. A lot of Karlsruhe. Okay. For everyone that's just joining, I'm just going to wait about 1 or 2 more minutes and just let people join. I'm letting people in periodically here. People like to come in at the last minute or just a minute late, but then we'll get started. We'll be out of here in 1 hour. I'm also curious, how often, or first of all, are people already reaching out to potential hiring managers on LinkedIn or on email before you apply? If you are, I'd be interested to hear. You can also put in the chat if you are doing this already. Okay, Prakash, yes. Good to hear. Okay. Lorenzo, not started it too much. Kevin just started. Always, Niven. Love it. Farhan, yes. Good. Good. Just a little preview, guys. We're going to be talking about that today as the main thing that you need to change in your philosophy. If you've been following, you know that we talk about this a lot, but it's very important. It's a total mindset shift, and it changes a lot for you and your challenges. And actually, you're going to hear from people who've done it recently and what happened for them, the biggest change that they saw. Okay. So we're about 4 minutes, almost 5 minutes in here. Oh, there's one more person who's joining now. Okay, not easy to find the info about HR. Yes, I agree. Sometimes if it's not on the job post, then it's hard. They will post the person there, but a lot of times I'll show you, you wouldn't want to actually reach out to the recruiter necessarily. Rather, we'll discuss which type of person you want to find. And they are a little bit difficult to find, but once you learn how to find them, it's extremely beneficial and a good use of your time. So one last check here. I'm just going to make sure everyone is in. It looks like everyone is in that wants to get in at the moment. And we can get started here. Okay. So thanks everyone for joining once again and participating already a little bit in the chat. Very interesting. We have a lot of people here from different areas, and excited to hear that some of you guys are already on the right path, even though if you're here for a reason, because it's extremely hard right now. I'll show you like what I traditionally hear from everyone in the job market. It's very difficult, and I've seen it firsthand already in recent cases. And I know that the hardest thing is getting the first interview, because everything changes after you get the first interview. You're in control, you're in a process, and you control your destiny a bit more than if you get absolutely no feedback. So you don't know what's going on. I'll save this for a little bit later on. I'll go into it a little bit further. But just to let you know, these all here are things that I've pulled that I hear. Okay, so it's totally not uncommon if you're also feeling like this. Some of these quotes that you see, This is the reality these days. It's not just in Germany, it's in a lot of places. And if you saw on my meeting invite, it has a lot to do with the overcrowdedness of people that are applying at their job. They don't really like what they're doing. They're just applying passively to different companies, or there's a lot of people that are out of work, and it's just flooding the systems. And also, when you bring in AI, it's so easy. It's never been easier to apply to a job. Think about LinkedIn Easy Apply, for example. It takes 5 minutes or less. So recruiters a lot of times have no choice but to employ some of these systems that I'll talk to you about. Right here, I'll explain this image in a bit. Okay, but this is you right here. You're getting a little bit old. You've got the white hair. You're starting to feel it. And you really need a job fast. And what stands in between you and your potential manager and your potential teammate is a battle that's very difficult. And this person is really smart, and they know all of the ins and outs and the hard technical components of guarding you from the company that you don't quite understand. And I'll show more of that to you in a few slides. So again, who is this for? If you're here for a reason. You probably resonated with something in one of my initial messages, whether it was on LinkedIn or whether it was in one of my newsletters. So thank you everyone who had joined late, additionally from LinkedIn or from recommendation. So this is really going to be for people that are at the very beginning stages. Either you don't know which direction to go. I'll let Bradley talk to you about that a little bit here. And additionally, you could be beginning to lose hope. Again, what goes along with you can't get any interviews at all is you either get no feedback, so you have no idea what's going wrong in your situation, or you get instant rejections. And these rejections, they could come with an AI generic response, or they can come with something that makes no sense to you. So at these points, you could be thinking about getting professional help. And really, if you're a proactive relationship builder, this will totally make sense for you. And it's something that you can get started with right away and very comfortably, because you can use your time much more efficiently and to focus on the things that will matter in your job hunt that actually make a difference. And it's not just maximizing the number of applications that go out. It's being intentional with how you approach the correct people. Okay. So we have some guests on the call that have learned this that I would love for you to hear from, that have a little bit of either whether it's recent or they've been a client of ours for a number of years. They're going to tell a little bit different angles here about how this works in practice. So I'll look forward to hearing for you to hear their story. First is Olgu. Olgu was most recently in our program. I was very proud of Olgu. He had applied before to 600 jobs, 600 applications, originally from Turkey, and he couldn't get any interviews when we first met. You might have heard this story already. I told it in the newsletter a couple times, but there was one clear shift that happened with Olgu. He had reached out to someone and he was able to get a job recently. He's going to be moving to Berlin, and it was at an extremely hard company to break into nonetheless. It gets a lot of applications. So I'm excited for you to hear from Olgu in a bit. Fadi was a client in 2018, originally from Kuwait, but then he had been in Egypt. And Fadi had applied to almost as many jobs, hardly saw any success. And he also changed one approach, like we've talked about, to building these introduction calls and reaching out to who might be his prospective hiring manager. And then everything changed for him. He started to finally see progress a few months later. He had his job and he was on his flight on the way to Berlin. Bradley, who I'll let you hear from in just a couple minutes, he now has his own company in Munich. He's helping with coaching in a different stage, actually. I'll let him describe. It's if you need to figure out where to go even before you know if you want to jump into a full-time job search. So I'm very happy that we also had the chance to work with Bradley in the past. And he'll tell you a little bit about what he's doing, how he can help you even before you get to this point of knowing you want to go full head of steam into the job search, because that's very important to know with confidence before you go forward. So this image, bear with me, this is essentially why we're all here, okay? And it's a simple one, but it's meaningful. And I'll explain why. So in 2025, you battle these systems, okay? So on the left over here, this is what you can consider as the first wall of defense, as a screening system when you make your application. So you come in here. This is where all the hundreds of applications come in. If you apply with LinkedIn, you know that if it's a regular job on site, it can be 100 in a week. You've seen this. If it's remote, it can be multiple hundreds in a week, what we've seen. So what happens is it's just simply too much, and it's override for the number of recruiters and human resources teams that are employed these days. I mean, when you just think about all those and you think about the small number of people that are in recruiting these days, there's Indeed said, I'll send the direct quote after this. Indeed had said in Germany from 2023 to 2024, HR and recruiting was the biggest decline in number of jobs posted over the entire year of any type of job, any role, department. So much more applications coming in because it's easier with AI. Much more work for the recruiting teams. And this is where this comes in now that we have all this technology. So they're very easily able to sort through people and figure out who's going to make it and who's not. And if you're going to make it past that first stage, you need to meet the bare minimum and the filters, which can be location. It can be whether you're ready to start right away, and a few other simple things like your work permit, for example. So if you don't have one of these, then you're completely out right away. And that's why you can face those instant rejections. So this is where, when the filters are set up, if you beat the filters, great. You go through here. 1% of people that make it through usually to get an interview. 99% of people go here. This is in the trash bin or the shredder. Okay. So clearly, what we're going to be talking about, and I'll show you how to get around this, is you need to figure out how to pick a battle that you know you can win, that you know you understand how the person is evaluating you and you know how to interact with it. It's very hard to beat a system like this and like this because they're much smarter than us and they operate differently and they have no empathy. So if you remember one thing from this that I'll advise people here is, if you don't know how it works, it's going to be very hard to beat it. And then the next question is clearly, what do you then pick to battle? If you're not going to battle these when you just send your application and it starts to get screened, then how do you do it? So I want to come back to this image. You remembered the reasons that people get to this point, that you're suffering. A lot of people are like this, suffering in a chair, getting white hair, waiting to get some sort of a response. 600 applications or more, not uncommon. Then this is what we just had described. Okay, so it's in a different form, but this is what's guarding you. That's the HR and the recruiting team, except now they're in the form of AI and they're in the form of technology. And who's behind? This is your potential manager right here, and this is your potential future teammate. And they're sitting there. And they're waiting. They're not necessarily waiting for you to reach out, but they're going about their day and they have empathy. They have something that you know how to relate with as a human being that the other wall doesn't. So when you approach these people, you'd be surprised how helpful people can be. It is difficult to find the right person, and we'll go over that, how to figure out who's the right person. But when you start to allocate your time to approaching these people that are behind the walls, that have what you want, and you start to actually have a conversation with them about your fit and your experience and maybe some common ground that you have with them and how they could at least give you a tip about what to do next, you'd be surprised how much more efficient this is with your time as far as how often you hear responses. So if you hear 1 out of every 100 back in positive, when you start to get feedback from people from reaching out to them on LinkedIn or on cold email, you'll start to see much higher response rates. And it's not always going to be positive, but a lot of times it will at least give you an idea and good feedback about what to do or what you need to change. Because if you don't hear anything, or if you only hear AI responses, then you don't know what you need to do differently, right? So it's super difficult. And that's where a lot of people are sitting. So there's just one last analogy I'll use with this. So it's like, if you consider, if you're trying to get into a castle, like in the medieval times, and there's a drawbridge, and they need to lower the drawbridge in order to let in anyone that's untrusted from outside of their tribe or outside of their village. This person on the outside, they could have a disease, they could be unfriendly, they could be even violent. So how do they lower the drawbridge to the person? They have to have trust at the start, and they have to somehow vet the person a little bit too in the start. So we don't have medieval times really anymore. We don't really have castles, but now in the modern times, what we have is we have these companies, and companies also don't want to lower their drawbridge to everyone, even for interviews. Because once you get in the interviews, you start to learn about the company and what's going on in there. So if you think about how do you get and build trust with the people that are in the positions that you want, that are accessible to you, that you know how to find these two people here, they can lower the drawbridge for you. They have empathy. So it's much more efficient to reach out to these people with a concise and confident message and show them why they should listen to you and why they should invite you to an interview. And that way, you don't have to battle this very smart, very ruthless thing. Okay? So I really implore people to try this and see if you see a higher success rate in hearing back from people rather than what it can be 1 in 100 for hearing a positive response in applications and interviews. Okay, so I want Bradley to describe a little bit about what happened to him when he had first come from Australia and something that had changed for Bradley, and also talking a little bit about his company and who he's working with right now. So Bradley, could you feel free to unmute yourself, and could you explain a little bit how you came to Germany and what you felt had changed for you in 2019 when you arrived?
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. And again, I really appreciate this invitation to come and speak about not only how immigrant spirit really supported me, but also the almost the full circle, both the inner clarity side of getting a job and also this external support that you're providing. So it's great to be here. I mean, it takes me back 6 years ago, moving from Australia. I remember, I mean, I expected a few bumps. I came for love and I came for adventure. I was in Europe back in my 20s, and I thought it's on my list to get back here at some stage. That was definitely the adventure as well as the love. But honestly, I wasn't prepared for what came. And of course, it was about looking for a job and getting one as quickly as possible. But it was dealing with so many shifts at the same time. It was the language, of course, is the obvious one, the culture, the new relationships, the red tape, just trying to find a new job. Everything was changing. And as a result, I remember I couldn't name it at the time, but I realized that I was changing as well. And I could name it now almost as an existential crisis. I mean, I don't want to put it too strong a point on it, but literally I was asking questions about who am I in this world? What do I want now? And why does everything that felt so familiar and clear before is no longer? Even my relationship, which was solid before, it was shaky, so my confidence was down. I was getting job rejections or not hearing anything at all, as you described. It was just unfamiliar territory across the board. So I knew I had to do more than what I was doing, which was applying for roles, really working on my CV, polishing up my LinkedIn. But I just knew there was more than that. And at that stage, I decided to reach out to a coach, someone who was focused in careers And that gave me the space to look inwards. And it was really helping me clarify what I valued, why I was feeling lost, and how I wanted to move forward. So that was all going in the background. And then I came across Immigrant Spirit. I found you. And what I found was the combination was so helpful. And what surprised me as I was getting the clarity in the type of, like, as I was reshaping the type of work that I wanted to attract and bring forward, it was surprising, like what you were just describing about getting to the right people. That was the most significant shift for me, that I didn't have a big network in Germany, but through the power of LinkedIn, and that's what I really focused on, I found myself like 80, 90% of the time, people were coming back to me and willing to make the connection with others within the organization that they were part of, even directly with the hiring manager. So I just found like it only took 1 or 2, maximum 3 conversations to get to the right people.
Mm-hmm.
And that I just was amazed how that then led to interviews. And the end result was, like, literally within 4 or 5 months, I was deciding between 3 jobs, which was also, I didn't expect to be in that place, but so good from a leveraging point of view, and like to be able to have that negotiation, given that I had those 3 offers. So I got so much out of working with Immigrant Spirit, and like it required a bit of inner work as well. So it was the 2 that I found super helpful.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Yeah.
And perhaps I could just keep going and just talk a bit more, or unless you have a follow-up question.
No, I think you can talk a little bit about like what you're doing now. I mean, that I know your story. It's very impressive, and thank you for the kind words about Immigrant Spirit. It's a perfect example about someone who's very successful now coming, and then you get to start your own agency. So it goes to show you can start from absolutely zero. Your confidence level is at ground zero. You don't know what's going on. You're confused. And then once you get a little bit of momentum, and once you get that first offer, first conversations, first offer, this is why the meeting is about getting the first interview, because that momentum builds. And then you get into a point now where you're in a leadership position. So this is why I wanted to hear this again and have people hear this, because it's such a great case. What do you, and feel free to talk a little bit about your structure with your current firm. Here you go.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I mean, what I love about working with expats is every story is different. But what I find is this model is helpful just to explain some of the things we go through, because every situation, every pain point, every area that's showing up as a lack of confidence, or there's fears that are coming up, it's helpful to think through these 2 models. And I'll just go through them quickly. I've got there the horizontal development. So of course, that's really helping people clarify what's important to them, like what's the goal they're trying to achieve, and what's the time frame, because often time frame is really important. And then the practical steps to get there from A to B. And what that looks like, sometimes it's really getting clear on what are their strengths. I know that sounds so obvious, but just helping them get really clear on what value they can offer, because often that's not so clear, or they're just picking what they think is going to sound good on a resume. It's also like what energizes you and what drains you. What are your core values, meaning what's most important to you, so that when you're coming to big decisions to make about the sort of career path you want to take, because in the exploration phase, you might be thinking about 1, maybe 2 or 3 different options. So it's really helpful to get clear on what's most important to me. And then, I mean, that horizontal development alone can be really a turning point, because many people, I realize, they're chasing roles that don't necessarily light them up. It's just simply that they've either landed in it in their 20s, or it's just been a default. So it's really helpful to really uncover that. What drives what's important.
Totally.
This second part is it's the arrows down, because it's the deeper work. It's my background is coaching psychology. So I'm just as interested to learn more about who you are, how you show up, and why you show up the way you do. And when we get to the core of that, that's helping people make more lasting changes, more meaningful changes, beyond, just noticing where they're getting stuck. So sometimes what that means is that I'm uncovering like hidden assumptions that they're making. Like, I want to find a job, but I'm fear of the rejection again, or I'm fear of being exposed, not having all the skills that I need per se. And then they show up in the interviews in a way that's not really authentic or the way they want to present themselves. So there's lots of examples I can give around those hidden assumptions, but I think the point is that that's what's helping people make more meaningful, lasting changes. If they learn more about themselves, even beyond the coaching that we do, they're shaping more of their identity and who they are as individuals.
Right.
So so that's it really. That's what I wanted to share. And that's the distinction I want to make, is that the career clarity that I do is about the inner clarity. So if you're feeling stuck, if you're unsure about what direction or path you want to go, it's not just you. Many people go through this, including myself, that, and especially when you're making that move abroad or thinking about it, there's just so much change going on. Sometimes it can help to have that additional support. And
absolutely.
If I had my time back, I'm just thinking about my own experience, I wish I'd reached out to a coach and to Immigrant Spirit months earlier. It just would have saved me so much heartache and so much effort.
That's it, Bradley. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for telling your story a bit. And that this is the first step. Yeah, you need to figure out where you're going before you go with confidence. So I will shift to Fadi. Fadi's also here for timing purposes. We also want to hear from Fadi too. So Fadi, I think you're here as well, I saw. So if you can unmute yourself, we can talk. I would like to talk a little bit about your story and how you started, because it's extremely impressive and it was a lot of trial and error as well.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kevin, for having me today. And I really appreciate what you are doing here. So I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Fadi Shanan. I am a biomedical engineer, originally from Egypt. I used to live in Kuwait. The first time I came to Germany was 1997. I had a dream to complete my studying here, but for some reasons, didn't went well. I had to go back to Egypt. But still, the dream somehow grew up with me, and I wanted to come back. And all this sudden start happening again with the first training when I start coming back to Germany in 2010. So I said, okay, I think I need to go back to Germany. And then at that time I thought it might be easy. So I said, what the hell, let's apply for the job. It should be easy, like 1 or 2 interviews. And that's it. And those 1 or 2 interview ended up with 300 up to, I think it's 400 application without even a single interview. No, I guess I had 1, and it was even through a connection. It was not just a pure apply. Of course, during this period, I think it took me like almost 3 years. I started something around 2015, 2014. I started to work on myself. The same thing as Bradley mentioned. I started working on my LinkedIn profile, how my CV looks like. And then there's still nothing. I switched to German. Then I started to translate my CV, and still nothing. I got my credential assessed here by ZAB. Still nothing. Start even taking German courses to work on my language, and absolutely nothing. 0 reply. Some of the company used to answer after 30 minutes, like email in, email out. Thank you. No, we don't really need you. And of course, during this time, I even, by the way, maybe this is something I didn't mention before. I joined a program that belongs to the job center here in Germany. It was like an international skilled worker program, and I joined it for 8 months without a single positive comeback. During this time, I believe in mid of 2017, I found Immigrant Spirit, and I used to monitor the website and all the YouTube channel and all the material there. I think there was even a book published at that time. I bought that book
How to Win
to
Jobs and
read.
Influence Germans.
Exactly. I bought that book, and to be honest, it was full of nice tips. But still, there was something missing. Like I still was not even to get that. And literally in Christmas 2018, I decided to join Immigrant Spirit. And to be honest, this was actually my last job. Like I said, if this didn't work, I'm going to detach this approach. I'm not going to pursue anything toward Germany again.
Mm-hmm.
And the program was 6 months. And in 2 months, I managed to have 10 interviews. And one of them is actually the job that I'm working on. So at that time, I was so lucky because I was one of the fastest to get an offer through the program, which something like seven weeks.
Yeah.
The approach of the program, to be honest, was really, really unique. Like I never thought about it. That, as you mentioned, that the HR is forming a huge wall between me and the job that I'm looking for. And to be honest, until this moment, I don't know why this is happening, because sometimes even like I'm still monitoring, the job market, and sometimes I see vacancies that open for months, and like I'm thinking like, what the hell? Like this job been open for 6-8 months now,
In
and they are
Germany,
not able to
averages
fill it.
5 months. It takes 5 months to make a hire right now, according
Exactly.
to our Arbeitsagentur.
Exactly, and as I said, some of them even longer, and I'm like so surprised what's holding them back. Like why people are failing the screening part, because this is, I saw it even once in a guy who approached me and he told me like I had an interview, and at the end they rejected me because I'm not a team player. I said, okay, and did you talk about anything about team play? They said, no, absolutely, we didn't talk about that. So he was even surprised about that. So I don't know what is the mentality behind this, but the unique approach of Immigrant Spirit, reaching out to directly to the hiring manager, it's removing a lot of this obstacle and highlight your skills and make you shine more, and then your application might be able to pass through the HR.
Mhm.
And as I said, like in 2 months, I had an interview with 10 different companies. Of course, none of them were successful, or even like one of the company even approached me after I accepted the first offer, and I had to apologize because I said I already accepted another offer. But this show you that, okay, I was thinking, did I waste 3 years before? And if I joined Immigrant Spirit at least 1 year or 2 years before, I would be much luckier, or even it was just the right time.
Yeah.
But at the end, to be honest, I'm happy that I took this decision, and I ended up here. Now this is my 7th year. I'm already with the same company. I've been promoted 2 times.
Yeah.
There is
think you
another
told me
promotion
3 times
coming
even.
week. Excuse me?
I think you had told me 3 times even, but
Yeah,
maybe
there is
2 times.
another promotion will be announced in 1 week, which I'm happy.
Okay.
I think I'll be in a director level. They're still keeping it secret even from me. But
Congratulations.
it's happening. Since 2 weeks, I'm officially a German citizen also. So yeah,
Wunderbar.
everything's coming together this year. So I think 2025 is my year.
Awesome, Fadi. Yeah, thanks a lot for sharing. I
My
really
pleasure.
appreciate it. And you get some congratulations as well, it looks like.
Yeah,
Some
I can
people
see. Thank you very
reacted.
much, everyone.
Okay, so for timing wise, I'm gonna go over to Olgu actually. So Olgu, would love for you to explain what happened most recently, because similar to Fadi and Bradley, there was a moment, and you were down bad, and you had shifted, to these intro calls and reaching out to people, and then you saw a big change. And I already hinted a little bit about how it was going with in regards to the absolute number of applications, which is crazy. But I'll let you, you can unmute and tell a little bit about your story and what happened for you.
Sure. Hello, everyone. I will try to tell my story very quickly, but it's actually very similar to Fadi's story. And I'm originally from Turkey, and I migrated to Germany 1 year ago with my wife. I'm a computer engineer, and I worked as an IT manager for long years back in Turkey. We migrated to Germany with my wife's contract here, and I was hoping that in this huge job market, I could quickly find a job, a proper job for myself, but things didn't turn out very well for me. I applied more than 600 jobs. Every morning I read my rejection emails, so it was frustrating, and I started losing my discipline, self-confidence. And I tried to analyze the situation, but maybe many people already know that Germany has many disadvantages for immigrants like us who are looking for a job here. Like Kevin told us earlier, there are problems like political problems, economical problems, immigrant problems, layoffs, new recruitment styles with AI. So in such circumstances, it's a big challenge to find a job here. After I experienced these awful situations, I came to conclusion that either it's something is wrong with me or with the job market here. So I started looking for professional help, and this is when I met Kevin and Bradley at the same time. Against all these disadvantages, you only need one advantage actually to beat the system here. After we started, I got help, started getting help from Kevin. The circumstances changed very quickly. Before we applied to any position, we looked for a referral inside the companies. This is when everything changed, and I started to receive proper replies. And some of the hiring managers or recruiters actually referred me to their companies.
Right.
And this is how I landed my job. I got a contact inside the company. So I was invited to the first interview. This is when I got the control. So I studied a lot for the interviews and got the job in 3 weeks. To summarize, it's normal to get desperate or frustrated while looking for a job here. You only need one advantage, outside external help like Kevin is providing. To beat the system here. And this is actually my story, and thanks for listening, and I wish everyone good luck for the job search.
And congratulations, Olgu. It's going to get fast here very quickly for you. You're going to be making the move and getting started. And we don't have to name the exact company too soon, but this company gets 100,000 or more applications per year. I know. So they reject a lot of people. It's a very common English-speaking company. You'll be able to tell people in a few weeks, but just on top of everything that you said, shows how much more impressive it is. So super happy for you that it ended up working out.
Thanks a lot, Kevin, for everything.
So in summary, I'm just going to summarize again why everyone's here. What can you do differently right away? So as you heard from Bradley, you need to figure out, first of all, where do you want to go? Do you want to go for the job search? Do you want to go back to school? Do you want to do a PhD, a second master's? There's a lot of different things that you can do in Germany to either get a visa or to stay here, be productive, make some money, or you just, again, want to study. So figure out what you want to do first, then you go with confidence. If you are looking to go into the full-time job search, dig deep into your network. This is your second and third connections. These are people outside of your everyday communications or in your group chats, because they are watching different things, reading different things, consuming different media sources than you and your close friends, and they have ideas for you that you haven't heard. Like when Olgu had reached out to his second or third degree connection, turns out he knows someone at this big company. makes all the difference. So spend more time after you figure out which direction you want to go in and go with confidence. You reach out to them and find these people that are outside of your daily interactions. Okay. Then you can practice your elevator pitch. You need to have it down stat 3 to 4 sentences max on a LinkedIn in-mail or on a cold email. If you find the right person, that's half the battle. Okay. You figured out this is probably my manager. Then you need to have your pitch and your concise message down very clear. And it needs to be urgent. It needs to show urgency and high value as to why they should talk to you. Then after you get to talking with this person, only after you talk to this person, then you can ask how their referral process works. And you can ask it like that. By the way, how does your referral process work? You're not just cold randomly asking people for a referral. It's annoying. And if this happens to you too, probably in your current job, there are people that have these referral bonuses, but it doesn't come across super nice as when people just say, hey, how's it going? Can you refer me? Rather, what we're saying is that if you organize your own intro calls, you ask for people to have phone calls, you get to know people inside of the companies that you want, then you can very simply in conversation ask them eventually, how does your referral process work? And I'll tell you, the very least that can happen when it comes out of this, if they say no, is that you can at least figure out who you write your cover letter to. Because that's another big part here. If you write your cover letter to whom it may concern, it doesn't look good. As if you write it to someone very specifically, to an individual person who's a manager, and a lot of times someone will at least tell you who's the hiring manager for that role, this looks way better. If you get a letter from someone and it says, Dear Kevin, then you're listening to that rather than to whom it may concern. You're like, I'm not to whom it may concern. So you're speaking to much more on a deeper level with this person if you can figure out who exactly you're talking to. Okay, so we talked a lot. I just want to stop here. We've got about 17 minutes left. I want to be cognizant of everyone's time today, especially with how great the weather is. It seems like in a lot of places. So does anyone have any questions at this point? Who would have the first question, essentially? Because I saw there's some questions. We can go to the Q&A as well that may have come in. But feel free to unmute yourself if you'd like, or put it in the chat anonymously or with your name, and we can go through a few of your questions at this point about how this works.
Hi, may I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Right. Okay. First of all, thank you very much for sharing your path, and that's motivating. So my problem is that I'm in the phase where I did my PhD and I did my postdoctoral experience. So I had like 11 years of experience, and then I decided to move out of academic path and move into like a pharma sector.
Okay.
And there comes the problem. Yes, you are trained for 11 years or 15 years in one field. Now you want to jump into a new field where you don't have any experience. And then if I apply to entry-level roles, then you're overqualified for this role. So, and on top of this expat thing, and like, you know, my CV is the first speaking like to the HR or to the line manager, whoever. So the name and everything, like it tells already that I'm not from here and no experience in the directly in the field and coming from a different background. Like, so how one could combat, because it's been now 2 years. I have done like certifications, courses, like you know, mentoring and everything, but I feel I'm like really drowning. This is my last 3 months. I'm giving deadline. Otherwise, I need to go back to my old path, which is also not very easy now to go back after 2 years. So I'm a bit lost.
Okay. Yeah, I totally understand. And are you on the Chancenkarte?
No, actually, I have a permanent residency.
Oh, very good.
At least I don't have those problems to deal with, but it's more like, since I worked like for so long with this PhDs and stuff, and now I'm at the brim of like, whatever I worked on, is it now breaking everything? Like, you know, I'm like going to the floor and I have to rebuild from somewhere now where I don't have any experience, or like, you know, it's like a question like survival or existential crisis. And after moving all the way from India to here, and yeah.
Right, right. Have you thought about remaking yourself, what that would look like and how long that would take, and which field you would want to go to? Because, yeah.
I mean, so I would like to stay more inclined towards what I was doing basically. But the thing is that in the research sector, like in the healthcare particularly, academia works totally like, like as a bubble, and then the pharma sector worked as a bubble. And recently what I'm hearing is that the earlier the better you move, the earlier the age, the earlier after your PhD. But once you're like past your 35, 40 years, then it's quite hard to enter uh, in the pharma sector, and that's where I would like to stay. I would like to move in as well. Yeah, so
Okay.
that's it.
I see. Okay. I can tell you it's extremely hard to get a job in academia because I've had clients the last couple of years
Mhm.
and I haven't had much success with people going into academia. And rather, I have had people when they switch to looking at corporate jobs and they get a lot more responses. So I would say it could be a big shift for you to consider, unless you know someone really strong in an academia setting. If you know someone, it's even more that's the case where you need to be friends with someone inside of academia that we find. So it could be a good shift that you only look at corporate
Mhm.
and change this approach
Mhm.
to trying to approach people more directly
Right.
and try to to dig a little bit deeper about what they think about your profile first before you apply.
Mhm.
Than approaching academia, because it doesn't this whole idea of networking, and it's very tough to do with academia because a lot of times they're not in these online networks.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly the problem now.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Thank you very
Hopefully
much.
that answered your question, and we can
Yes,
talk more.
absolutely.
We can talk more after this for sure.
That would be
um,
nice.
I know we have a couple more people that have raised your hand, so I will go ahead and answer. Marco, I think you raised your hand first. And then just looking at time, we have 12 minutes left. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about how we can work together if you do want to. But Marco, feel free to ask your question as well.
Yes, Kevin. Thank you. Good morning to you, and good morning to everyone. My question basically is, well, I have two questions. One is when Mr. Bradley said that we have to um, pick up a place or choose a city. That means we have to have in mind where we would like to move in Germany, and if so, what cities are available to start working among those. And the second question is because Mr. Bradley said that he moved from Australia and now he opened his own company. That
Mhm.
means we can do the same. Like we can bring an idea and try to make our own company in Germany in the cities that we decide to move. For example, Berlin or Düsseldorf.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. So the best cities that we see in my 100 companies list right now is Berlin. Over half of startups are working in English, followed by Munich, followed by Frankfurt and Hamburg. So if you look in the bigger cities, these are obviously going to have more opportunities for internationals, more multinational companies, and more English speaking jobs. So I don't recommend anyone to look in small East Germany towns because there's going to be hardly any opportunities for you unless you're fluent in German. As to the second part, yes, if you can come, and you can also start up your own agency, like Bradley and I have done. So Bradley, maybe you want to have just like make a quick note if you'd like to add anything, but otherwise, feel free if you want to add anything to that. But otherwise, yeah.
Yeah. Just,
See a couple more
quickly to
questions
say
coming in.
that for me, I decided to work for an international organization first. Then within the space of less than 2 years, I was able to apply for a Niederlassungserlaubnis, which simply means I become a resident, which allows me to set up my own business. So the path was 2 years first, working for an international organization, and then setting up my own.
Mhm.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Bradley.
But
Really
the
appreciate
other
it.
thing I'll add is they make it super easy, at least from the state perspective in Munich, I know, but I think this is German-wide, that if you have your degree and you're looking to find a role, they make it easy for you to become a resident quite quickly, if that's the path you want to take. Because they're looking to attract immigrants. It's just more the job market itself is very difficult to break into.
I understand. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it. God bless you in your projects.
Thank you.
I think Prakash had his hand up, and then we're going to answer some questions at the very end too. If people have a couple more minutes, I think we'll go overtime a couple of minutes, but I do want to share with you an offer that I have for people that do want to get to work. So yeah, Prakash, I realized you raised your hand a few minutes ago. Do you have a question?
Hey, Kevin. Good afternoon. I heard three of your previous enlistings regarding the experiences, but this is apparently what I see is around 2 to 3 years gap. And you're running business still until 2024, 2025 as well. Do you have any recent clients in 2024, 2025 who have successfully landed? Because the market is changing in every quarter, every half year, 6 months. So the challenge and there is a reason for which I started my journey of job search in 2024, and it has been changed a lot. Whosoever is searching, they are aware of it. So if it would have been it would have given a little bit of better clarity if we would have come across any potential successful people enlisted with you and got their job in 2024 or in half of 2025 as of now. That's my first question.
Sure.
Second,
just one quick thing. Olgu on the call. Olgu had just gotten his job a few weeks ago, actually. So he's the most recent one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the second part, yes, please.
Yeah. Second thing is, I was reading the bullet points which you mentioned. Who's this this particular meeting or webinar is for, but may not be as far as it might. All the points might not be applicable for me. But while I see the second point, if you're losing hope, that's the edge, that's the verge on which I am right now. So because of which I thought to give it, to hear it out and listen to what information that you have to give, if it is anything going to be beneficial for me. But let's say there is circumstances where I have 3 months of time, and of course you have 6 months or 5 months of whole plan, full-fledged program which is going to continue. That's not going to work. So is there any customized service that you provide, or possibility that me or anyone else similar? I think there is another chat in that I see as well, who has a visa which is going to expire in 3 to 4 months. Although I have I checked that you are mentioning that have a clarity, etc. But okay, then I have another question as well. Let's say after 3 months the visa is expiring, and of course I have to leave Germany. So and this is like an egg and chicken situation. When a person is outside Germany, then the final stage of interview, and normally in Germany there are 3 to 4 stages of interview happens, and fourth stage of interview is a face-to-face interview, which is sort of a workshop or a group discussion sort of, and the business case scenario discussion happens. So that has been, and there has been hurdles or challenges which were come across related to that, because of which I had faced rejection while I was not in Germany as well. So what are your scope of services? Is it something that you provide if a person is in their respective country or outside Germany, anywhere outside Germany, still it is you still think that it is possible that they are going to clear 3-4 rounds of interview outside Germany and then get a job?
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, we've had clients in India. We've had clients in pretty much every continent besides Antarctica, of course. But I'm also working with someone right now who had just moved. She's come on the Chancenkarte. She's in Berlin. That's actually the one seat that I've filled. But it is a little bit harder to get interviews because of that first filter that we talked about on LinkedIn, where they figure out your location. So if you're here, that's a big difference maker to get a first interview, to say that you're in Germany. I believe you're in Germany. So that already, like, you have some good parts. It's that we need to go into a little bit deeper about what's going on then, because you do have like some benefits that other people don't have. When you're just applying and you don't have any connections from your home country, you don't know where to start, you don't know like which sites to look at, etc. So I would say I'll show you, if I may, I'll show everyone what the offer is to get started. And then as far as your timeline,
Okay.
for people who have a
Kevin,
lower
just to
timeline,
cut.
I will say I do have a lower offer, as in we can always work on like a month to month basis. You don't need to join like the whole program that I'll outline in a second. But I also have like by the hour, but it's just that, you know, if we do like a month to month, we need to have a separate discussion about that. We just, with regards to time, we have about 3 minutes left. I just want to go through this last bit and then let's talk after the call. Okay, Prakash?
Yeah, and let me tell you one thing. As far as first interview is concerned, I had got my first interview from Germany while I was there in my home country. So
Okay.
I had negated that option long before, whereas I had faced much more challenges after coming to Germany after November 2024.
Huh.
Okay.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
oh yeah, sure. We can talk about my personal case. I prefer to discuss the details in person as
Okay,
well.
no problem. Okay, we'll do that. Okay, so yeah, I want to run through with everyone what the offer is. For joining today, what you'll have access to is that if you do want to get started, so where we are right now in the year, we have July. I'm wrapping up the current program. Olgu has gotten a job. My other client, Edem, full-time, has just gotten a job. So I have 2 spots that are open right now in the current program. August is going to be a little bit different because it's holiday month. So we're going to do more back-end work, working on your documents, working on figuring out which companies to approach, etc. But you will still have full-time access to me. So if you did want to join, you can follow this link in the program that Fadi and Olgu did to get their job in Germany. You can follow this link, immigrantspirit.com/deposit. And this is if you want to secure one of the seats for the September program. So the offer is that you get 6 months of access. We can start right away if you sign up. And then you have your secured seat, and we work till the end of the year until you get a job. Okay. So I'm going to leave that open, by the way, until 10 o'clock tonight. That's 4 o'clock Eastern, for just the 2 seats that I've left before the September program. And alternatively, if you don't want to get started right away, you have something going on, you want to talk a little bit more about what might be best for you, then I will still take, if there's 7 seats left, I'll show you something about that in a second. I will still take a maximum of 8 people from September. So just make sure to secure your seat ahead of time to be one of those people. And the seat prices rise 200 euros. So this incentivizes you to sign up early if you are convinced. If you would like to do it and join and get started right away, I will get started with you right away starting from today. So you avoid paying more later if you do wait for the program. So again, if you want to see more about what the deposit look like, you can go to that /deposit link, and you'll see that gets you instant access to this program that they talked about. Okay. So for those 7 seats as of now, I have sold one of the other seats. So what I'm going to do with everyone too is next week, I've opened my calendar, and you only put down 200 euro deposit, and you will be part of this circle of 7. So what happens is, if you want to do this, you will also reserve a seat for September at the same time, except you only put down a 200 euro deposit. We will meet one-on-one. We will discuss your situation. If you decide that then you want to move forward and do the program, then your seat is already set. But if you would like your deposit back, if you would like your 200 euros back, then I'll refund you if you decide that you don't want to move forward. So those 7 seats will go. You can follow this link, calendly.com/kevin_kacha/circle-7. Okay. I'll also put that in the chat here. And I'm only taking 7 meetings for next week. So I will put this here in the chat. Okay, just placed it in the chat. And then I know we have a couple more questions. We're just at time. Thank you, everyone, if you stuck around for this long. Really appreciate it. Had a lot of fun today. Hope you enjoyed hearing from different people, different angles. I know we had a couple more questions, so would be happy to stay back with you a little bit and answer some questions. So thank you, everyone. So Kadia had asked, do you have any tips on how to maintain connection and not just have a single or a couple conversations? This is pretty difficult, actually. I'm glad that you had asked us, Kadia. I'm not sure if you're still here, but so we always teach that you have to follow up with people at least 3 or 4 times. If you don't get an answer, or if someone goes cold, if they don't reply to you, it often takes a few follow-ups until you can hear back from them. So also super important when you see things are going cold to reignite it by asking a simple question. If you ask them a one-line question, hi, did you see my message? Hi, I'm just wondering, is there anything else that you'd like to ask? Is there anything else that I'm missing? You know, these short questions that are easy to respond to is how you can revive the conversation. At some point when you're talking to them and you're providing your value for them in the chat, it needs to become, hey, when can we have a short conversation about this on the phone? Because at that point, you take the discussion just from chatting like everyone else is to actually arranging a phone call, getting to know the person, sharing your story a little bit, and asking live on the call, how does your referral process work? So this is when you get connections with people and you're starting to notice your replies, they're not replying as much. It totally happens. You need to somehow revive the conversation. And that's what I help you do, is figure out how to get the conversation hot again, because it just will go down if you don't keep up with it. Every 3 to 4 days, they need another message if they didn't respond. 1 second, Marco. There was hopefully that answered your question, Kadia. I think you're still here, possibly. I'm not sure. I just looked in the roster. I don't think so. But 1 sec. Karthik, I believe you had a question.
Yes, I hope you can hear me, Kevin.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
1 second. Then Arena, I just noticed Arena and Catherine, you had asked a couple. So I'll get to yours in just a second. Okay. Yeah. Please, Karthik.
Yeah, good evening, Kevin, and everybody still sticking around. So I had this question. So it had not only happened with me, but also to a couple of friends of mine. So usually we had received some sort of LinkedIn messages from the HR asking if you're available for an interview or an exchange of views or whatever. It's like the first connection that they make with us. And then we have a nice chat regarding the existing opportunity that they're having in their workplace or maybe their client or whatever.
Mhm.
And then out of nowhere, out of the blue, they all get cold. So even after having after even accepting that it was a nice conversation and then blah, 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 and then they don't just respond anymore for the next rounds. So I'm interested to know what's your opinion or take on this, like what really happens after this first conversation and the decision to not, to become cold or whatever, maybe say a rejection or anything.
I see.
What is the thing that's happening there?
Okay. And now you said, is this with an HR manager?
Yeah, or the HR partner or whoever is contacting on LinkedIn, or the first contact in the company, basically.
I see. Okay. Have you actually tried reaching out to who would be your boss rather than the HR manager that's on the job post?
So on the job post, at least from what I've seen or from the message I received on LinkedIn, they're usually not given except for the HR contact person. I also kind of tried to look around in LinkedIn, maybe the person who is responsible, but it was never clear for me who is the hiring manager.
Okay. That's totally understandable. It's hard to figure out at first. One thing that to always keep in mind is, what role that you want, the title of it because you're applying for it. Then when you start at that company, who would you imagine is going to be your report? Who are you going to report to? What do you think is going to be their title? And if you search on LinkedIn People's tab for the location, you first filter down the location where you want to work. So let's say Berlin. That cuts down a lot. Then you figure out, okay, what department am I in? So you can also filter in the department. Then you can filter in who is going to be my higher up. Like if you're a product manager, for example, like senior product manager or head of product, that's who you would want to reach out to. What's your job title, for example? I'll think of something.
Right now, it's data analyst.
Data analyst. So either data analyst manager or senior, like data analyst team manager or senior data analyst or head of data analysis. That's who I would reach out to inside of the company. Because what happens is you see that person on the job post and their name is out there in the public. So they're getting bombed. They get a lot of messages. But the person who you're probably not going to work with that HR manager on a day-to-day basis. So actually, it's not super productive to talk to them because they're not going to know you very well after the first interview. But if you talk to the person you're going to work with every day, they might be able to actually tell you about what's going to go, how you can get hired and get past it. And a lot of times they either refer you or they just say, hey, let's schedule a time to talk. And now you've actually gotten around that HR interview, right? So that happens very often. I would say for your situation, just change who is the one that you want to reach out to, because HR can be way, way too busy and to have too many contacts to really, have an emotional connection with you, if it makes sense. Is that helpful?
Yeah. I mean, I get the point that you're trying to tell that maybe it's always a better idea to bypass the HR and directly reach out to the hiring team or hiring manager. But yeah, it was never clear to me why, after saying all nice things, there's always ghosting that's happening. That's what I wanted to understand from your, on the other side of the table, what exactly was happening.
Okay. So they give you good feedback and then they ghost you, or they just say no after that.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it could be just that they're not confrontational. They don't want to give you a no, because usually the reason that people ghost is they don't want to create hard feelings at the end of the day. So humans don't like putting other people down most of the time if you're a normal person. So this is why a lot of times it's just easier to not respond. It takes less time and then you don't have to deal with it. So, and they could also just have forgotten. So it's not unique to you that this would be happening. That's very common. It's just that, when you're engaged with those HR people, all bets are off. It's very hard to predict because it's too busy and it's too cutthroat. It's too cut and dry with what they're trying to do, because they're focused on their targets. They're focused on quick wins, and they're focused on their own job security. So they're not really focused on whether you're the best fit for the job a lot of times. Whereas the head of product is focused on whether you're the best product manager, or, the data analyst manager is focused on whether you're the best data analyst that he's talked to, So it's a different game when you're talking to the recruiter, because there could be something that you can't control about your background, which is why they don't respond to you. It could be something that they think that you're too risky because you're not German or you don't speak German, right? But the head of data analysis is not necessarily thinking that a lot of times.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so lot.
Yeah. No problem. Happy to help. So, Arena, if you're still here, you had asked, how do the coming months of summer look like in Germany in terms of hiring in seasonality? I'm on Chancenkarte. So, where we are now, July is usually pretty good. August is pretty dead because people travel. September, it starts picking up again. End of the year, a lot of hiring happens. This is why we had structured the program like this years ago. So honestly, the hiring, my two clients that just got hired in the last couple of weeks, I have a couple more that are interviewing. July, let's see, but August, it'll probably slow down a little bit. September will start to pick back up. So September through October are good. If you have 3 to 4 months left, that would be, so you really should, I would say, be in the mindset of you need to position yourself the absolute best that you possibly can, so that you can maximize July. And then also when September comes around, you're already positioned and you know who to approach. You know which companies that you want. You know your fit. You know which messages you need to make, and you know your pitch, your exact message. Because you would not want September to come around and people coming back from holiday and not be ready to go into those processes. That's what I would say about where we are. Germany overall, we see still, I mean, right now it's 2% of job posts are in English, so it's even getting less in a way over the years. But if you have my list, you know, I just released my last June list. I can send it to you as well. Send me an email if you need it. This is all the companies that we know of that are hiring in English. So by the way, whoever's here, 13 people still, if you need it, you can email me and that'll give you instant ideas. It has their job portal and everything. So you can go there and there you should be able to find at least one English speaking job. Can't guarantee all of them, but there should be 100 companies in there that do have them. I think there's like 170 companies now. So some of them, you know, they expire or they drop the certain job that's yours that just happened to be in English. So, but there should be some good company ideas in there for you. And I would recommend, yeah, looking in these cities that, you know, like Berlin and Hamburg and Munich and places that, you know, that have these types of companies, and you'll see a lot of those in the list. Oh, hopefully that was helpful. Oh, yeah. And okay, so I think Catherine had dropped off. So Marco, yes, please.
Yes, Kevin, thank you. I just wanted to ask you exactly what you just said. I was going to ask you how what are our chances to get the job this year, and then you said the is higher on October, November, right?
Yeah. So basically, right now, with the gap in August being a little bit slow, September it starts to get good again. But most of like, if you're actually going to get a job, of course, it takes, you know, a month or two to interview a lot of times. But if you're going to get an offer, it's usually going to be end of the summer here, going into August, or end of the year, so like November or December. But of course, you need to. There's a process you need to position yourself so you're in that final interview so you can get an offer, and that also takes time. So this is where, you know, it's better to start as soon as possible in any case, because sometimes you go through a month of interviews and then you don't get it or something, and then you have to go through back to square one. That's happened to me before.
Oh, I see. Are you in Germany right now?
Yeah.
Ah, okay, nice. Very, very nice.
Yeah.
I visited Hamburg years ago, and I love it. I like the German culture.
Yeah.
I'm studying German. I bought a course from Rosetta Stone,
Oh, yeah.
so I'm studying German there.
Very nice.
And yeah, and another thing is if I pay the 200 euros, that I can use it for either for July or September.
Yeah. Yeah. So what happens is that when you put down the 200, it's your credit. So we're going to meet next week. And then if you decide that you do want to work with me starting after next week, then the remaining of the deposit is due, but you already paid 200. So what's left is only 1,697. So that's the remaining amount of the deposit that you would pay. Then we're in charge. We're in, working together until September, and then the remaining amount is due for the whole program. And then you're good until the end of the year. So the current remaining amount by September would be 2,700 euros.
Okay, 2,700. That is the total price.
So the total price, all in all, for a second seat is 4,597, and it's split up like this. So if you had put down the 200, we meet. If you decide that you want to continue, then the remaining amount of the deposit is due. So that's 1,697. That would be next week, and then in September, the remaining amount, the last amount, is due 2,700.
Oh, I see.
However, if you want to do monthly installments, you can of course do that. Where are you based right now?
New York City.
New York, yeah. So you have this access to Klarna. Have you used Klarna before?
Is that a payment link?
Yeah, I'll show you. I'll put it in the chat. So if you look at like how to pay this deposit, you should see an option there besides Google. You should see an option for Klarna. And if you click on Klarna option, you should get to pick about how many months you want to split the payment over. And if you do it outside of like more than 3 or 6 months, then it might charge you a little bit of interest, but otherwise you should be able to do it interest free for like 6 months or something like that. Just take a look at the link and then let me know as well if it's something's weird there.
Okay, yeah, that is another question before I let you go. Can I keep an email from you and for example from Bradley, just if I have any doubts,
Yeah.
because of the people who is already went through this process, and maybe they can give me some information how to do it, or
Yep.
or jump on this side or the other side, for example.
Yeah, totally. You can feel free. You have my email, kevin@immigrantspirit.com. I mean, what I would suggest, because there's no downside, is just book us for next week on this circle of 7. It's just 200 euros. And then we can actually talk next week, and then we can decide if you want to continue. This is why I did it, because there's no downside to doing it. If you don't want to go forward after that, then I'll send you the 200 back. But I would like to actually talk to people one-on-one, because as you saw this hour, it flew by.
Yes.
And I didn't plan it perfectly to get to everyone's questions and all that. So this is why I want to actually talk to you about your situation, a little more personally. And then, we can do that. That would be my best suggestion. As far as Bradley, feel free as well. He should have dropped his email, but I can also send that to you too in his website.
Oh, yes, please. That would be great. So your email is kevin@immigrantspirit.com.
That's it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep in touch with you.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Marco.
Great.
Appreciate you tuning in today.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Kevin.
All right.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Enjoy the day in New York.
Thank you too. Thank you.
Thanks. And looks like we had another question. Gadapali, if I pronounce that right. Hi, Kevin. Have you ever worked with supply chain professionals, warehouse management professionals? What level of German do you think is required? Actually, so one client I have right now is an operations manager. So she also doesn't speak German. She's A2. So we can definitely go for that. We can look for jobs right now in Berlin and other places. I don't know. You can put in the chat where you're. You can put in the chat where you're based. Hi, Gadapali, you're back. I do have what I was saying. I'm not sure if you missed it. I have one client right now who's an operations manager. So for supply chain, she also doesn't speak German. She's A2. So we're finding jobs in Hamburg and Berlin mostly. So, I mean, she's on the Chancenkarte, this opportunity card. So I don't know if you're in Germany or not already, but if you want to come first, you can do this visa. And then you can come look for jobs here. You don't need German. For 1 year, you can come to Germany and look for work without having a job. Then if you are here already, then we just need to figure out which companies, and this is where it's going to be if I send you this company list. And I think we lost her. I think she dropped out. So Lorenzo, yes, I see you. Great to see you. I think you left as well. So we have a few people left in the meeting. I don't know if you guys are out and about or if anyone has any other questions, but it's also almost 5 o'clock. So everyone should go enjoy the rest of the daylight, I would say. I'm just looking at the chat. Bradley had written. Yeah. So I'm also gonna, Marco, I'll send you Bradley's stuff. Just please connect with me on LinkedIn and send me an email. Probably better actually LinkedIn if you can.
Hey, sorry, Kevin. I
Yeah.
wasn't able to unmute my mic. Yeah, thanks for answering my question. So, I'm already a professional in WMS, but in India currently. So, I would be moving to Germany soon. But yeah, as I said, I just wanted to know like what level of experience or language is required for WMS professionals there, and how are the opportunities maybe.
Okay, gotcha. Could you tell me, are you already coming to Germany, or are you going to try to find a job before you move?
Yeah, I'm trying to find before I come. Maybe 3 to 4 months it would take for me to come there.
Yeah.
I'll be on spouse visa soon.
I see. Okay. So yeah, I'm not sure if you heard. I mean, I do have one client who's an operations manager. She's in supply chain. She doesn't speak German. She's actually from India as well. But she's already here, so she has a right to work. If you do want to look up the opportunity card and come here, that could be a good option for you. But if you want to get a job at home first, I always think it's better because it's more security, and you'll get a relocation bonus of 3,000 to 5,000 euros. So that's always good. But the key is, do you have my list of companies that are? Because I have a list of companies that are hiring in English. And a lot of them are logistics companies, because logistics, you need to communicate globally, because that's the nature of the job. So if you're an operations manager in a logistics company, then there's a lot in Germany actually that are working in English, usually smaller companies, but it's possible. Do you have my list of companies hiring in English?
No, I don't have it, Kevin.
Oh, okay. I'm going to send that to you. Could you just write your... you can either write me an email at kevin@immigrantspirit.com, or if you want to put it in the chat, your email, then I'll write you an email later tonight.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. All right. And I would suggest also, Gadapali, if you want that Calendly link that I shared there, Kevin_Kocher, circle 7. If you want to meet next week, it's just 200 euros. And then we can actually have more of a personalized meeting about if you want to do the Expats Job Miracle, so you can get a job by the end of the year. And then if you don't want to move forward after next week, then I'll send the money back to you. So there's no downside to doing it.
Sure, Kevin. I'll get in touch with you.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. I think we lost Catherine, who had the other. Oh, here's your email. Thanks, Gadapali. I'll save it. Okay. That will wrap up today, I think. Karthik, yeah, thank you. Great to see you today. Thanks for your question. And then anyone else who's still here, enjoy the rest of the day. Hopefully I answered your question. Hopefully I didn't miss it. I'm just looking back. Don't think I missed anyone. Okay. All right, guys. Take care. Hope to hear from you soon. Bye-bye.